Governor J.B. Pritzker signed an executive order today that will restrict the federal government from collecting personal information about Illinoisans with autism. This is in response to the presidential administration's plan to create a database for autism research. Madison Porter has reaction from a Peoria advocacy group. Madison?
Lizzie, a spokesperson for EPIC, says they support efforts to learn more about people born with cognitive differences, but it should be up to those people to decide when and where to share their medical information. According to the governor's office, under this executive order, state agencies cannot collect or disclose personal information related to an autistic client unless it is legally required or necessary for care. It's his response to Health and Human Service Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s attempt to collect that information through sources like pharmacy chains and personal devices. Ashley Schreck says EPIC has always abided by HIPAA law, but the executive order can help other state agencies.
Just because they have a disability and this is a focus on something doesn't necessarily give them a right to all of a sudden start collecting this data. And we should consider how people with cognitive differences would feel as well, because they have a say.
Schreck also corrected RFK Jr.'s claim that autism is a preventable disease. She says it shouldn't be considered anything other than a medical diagnosis. She does believe more funding needs to be dedicated to diagnosing autism. Illinois is now the first state to officially restrict the federal government from collecting personal autism-related data for unrelated medical or legal matters. Lizzie?